It's one of those mysteries about Goethe that this visionary writer and reader, whose horizon was so much wider than that of his contemporaries, would choose to live in a small town of 6,000 people for pretty much his entire life. He had grown up in the much larger and much more cosmopolitan Frankfurt when he was invited by the Duke of Weimar to go east. And somehow he couldn't resist, a little like Eckermann later couldn't either. Except that Goethe soon found himself in possession of a handsome salary, a house, a title, an increasingly far-flung job description. The duchy was small, only about 20,000 subjects, but it was an independent entity in need of management. Goethe made himself indispensable. He got involved in the theater, which was perhaps not surprising given that he was a well-known playwright. But he also took charge of much more: roads, finances, warfare. He was sent on diplomatic missions. He fought against Napoleon. He was a big fish in a small pond. Apparently, he liked it that way. But there's another side to Goethe, the side that Eckermann and his other associates didn't understand: the interest in world literature. This interest wasn't just a matter of reading, though Goethe read whatever he could get his hands on, no matter how far-flung. It was also a matter of writing. Goethe wrote more and more about travel, expressing a yearning for the wider world. Inspired by the Persian poet Hafiz, as the fairy tale collector Grimm reported to his brother, Goethe wrote a collection of poetry called the West Eastern Divan. In it, Goethe bemoans the fact that he cannot travel to Persia as he would like to, and he tries to bridge the distance through imaginary leaps based on his intense study of the poet. With his brother Hafiz, as he calls him, he wants to wander the roads of Persia from the oases to the great cities of the Orient. Goethe's most famous creation, Faust, does pretty much the same thing. Thanks to his pact with the devil, Faust can fly through the air with his new companion, though sometimes the ride is a little rough and he has to complain to Mephistopheles. Goethe also adds several prefaces and preambles to the play Faust, one of them inspired by another of his far-flung reading experiences, the Sanskrit play Shakuntala. Another preface to the play presents a celestial scene of stars, angels, and God, modeled on Job. This imaginary form of travel via the literary dialogue with the Persian poet was not enough for Goethe. Trapped in Weimar and in his administrative jobs, Goethe finally resolved to flee. Without telling anyone except his duke and his butler, he got in a coach and traveled to the land he had always wanted to visit, the land of the Renaissance and of Roman antiquity, Italy. He had stopped reading Latin literature because he had found it too hard because it made him ache for Italy, apparently beyond his reach. So when he finally managed to tear himself away and travel to Italy, it changed everything. It made him take up writing again, inaugurating a new period of literature, Weimar Classicism, in which he rethought his literary style in light of his travels to Italy. It also laid the foundation for world literature.